Rebecca! Are you alright?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I know that this is going to be, for lack of a better word, a thing throughout the Resident Evil series, but seriously, a giant centipede is one of the bosses, the second boss in the game. Not meaning to be mean to Centurion here, but seriously, a giant bug is the best thing that you've got. We had a scorpion last time in a train. This is a centipede in a mansion. Like, do you got any, like, ridiculous, roided out, you know, mutated monster dudes hanging around? Why is it just giant animals and insects? It just seems kinda weird. And kinda weird in a, you know, low effort sort of way, Capcom. It's just a giant bug. It didn't take that much to either design or conceive in your mind, so I'm wondering, where is the imagination? And what's even more embarrassing is that Centurion exists completely accidentally, according to his Wikipedia post, which is the only story that we really get on the guy, because Capcom doesn't really explain why he's here other than general scientific nonsense from Umbrella. Centurion wasn't even an experiment. He's just here accidentally because Umbrella's laboratories are as leaky as a Swiss cheese faucet. Like, this is completely ridiculous. This whole thing was a giant accident, put in the middle of the level as an obligatory boss fight, one that wasn't even any good, because all Billy needs to do is walk around the room slowly, and then shotgun it in the face until it falls over. Centurion kidnapping Rebecca does absolutely nothing to hamper the player, because honestly, Centurion is more distracted holding on to Rebecca than it is trying to kill Billy. It's just lackadaisically running around the room, and the room is huge! Like, there's tons of space for frickin' Billy to stand anywhere he damn well wants. And now that I'm saying these words, I'm remembering that Centurion here plays a lot like Yawn. But the thing was that with Yawn, the room was a lot smaller, there were more camera angles, so it felt closer, even though it played almost exactly the same as this. You just lead it around the room, and then when you have a chance, you shotgun it in the face. Thankfully, Centurion dies pretty quick. I think you only need to shotgun it around 8 times to do the job, whereas Yawn took a lot more, especially since, as we'll see in the future, my playthrough of Yawn, I went in there with very little ammunition, but I was still able to do it. Because Capcom designed Yawn to actually be defeatable. He's not a giant asshole, and neither is Centurion or Stinger, so you know, it's got good difficulty balancing as long as, you know, Capcom gives you good perspective, a good sense of dealing damage, and honest to God, just ammunition and health to do the boss fight. Which, at this point, thankfully you do have. There were a couple stockpiles in the training facility, although I think it was a little bit stingy, for a lack of a better term. Centurion is just completely forgettable as a boss fight goes. It's just total average. It doesn't do a lot to push the envelope, it doesn't do a lot to be exciting, and it just turns out to be very lackluster, very boring, and the things that it tries to do to ramp up the tension are pathetic. I don't know why Capcom keeps designing these bosses to be dead in 2 minutes. I mean, this is a survival horror game, so I would expect a little bit more design effort to be on the table than a Mario platformer. When your boss fight dies in less than 10 bullet shots, I guess what can you do? The training facility unfortunately got a very wet fart sort of boss, and there's nothing more to say about that than I'm disappointed. The training facility is, by a large margin, the biggest level in the entire game. Very labyrinthine, very Spencer's Mansion, but you didn't pull out the effort to really capitalize on the time that we spent in the training facility and screwing around with all these puzzles, bugs, monkeys, zombies, and everything else that Capcom had to throw at us. But the biggest thing they had to throw at us was a giant bug. They didn't even think of a good way to end this crazy ride we had, and that's just disappointing.